What is up, guys? Happy Tuesday. Welcome. This is Coast to Coast, CFL edition. Andrew and Bobby. We were together today. Actually grabbed some lunch together, a little bit of a journey back for Bobby. And now we're here to talk some CFL Week 7. I cannot believe how fast season has gone by. But after a slow start, we picked up some steam. Almost had back-to-back sweeps, except for one team. And the team you would expect to screw me over with the sweep. It was exactly that team. But of course, it was the Elks. But great week 6 for me. It's always fun when you can cash tickets when you're away. I was away in Quebec City at a wedding. But Bobby, how was your week 6?
It was good. It was the same. It was going great. And it was kind of a masterclass in how to not win a football game in the CFL. Usually it's Ottawa that's making these bonehead decisions, and we saw, I think, a natural hat trick of bonehead decisions within the last 20 seconds of that game. So if you want to get into it, let me know when I can start ranting.
Yeah, go for it. Look, some teams find ways to win. Some teams find ways to lose. The Elks, it's very clear. They just find a new way to lose. And I'll segue and ask you this. How many people are at fault for the Elks losing on Sunday?
I think it's one. A lot of people are blaming Boris Beatty for eventually we found out he shanked a kick that he was supposed to launch through the end zone. In reality, there shouldn't have been a kickoff at all. Like, they had the ball on the one. At one point, it was second and goal with 20 seconds left. You just run the play clock down to 5 seconds. You run your play. If that fails, you'll still have time. You can let the clock run down to 0 in the CFL, which I don't think needs to be said, but maybe it does. So there was no excuse to leave any time on that clock. The second chance he had to redeem himself was go for 2. You've been letting Drew Brown torch you all night. There were 3 Ottawa receivers had 100 yards. These receivers, I don't know if they've had 100 yards in years, right? This is a team that scores 20 touchdowns a year on offense, and they were picking them apart. So at that point, go for 2. You're going to give up a touchdown in the overtime. Why don't you take 55-60% chance of getting a touchdown? You go from the 3, you have a 20-yard end zone. There's a lot you can do. So they blew it there, and then trying to go for the Rouge was just unbelievable. I don't know how far these kickoffs are. I'm not that close to the sun, but it's not easy. The last time I've seen this work was when a kick returner didn't know that he needed to take it out of the end zone. And that was a Chris Jones coached Elks team last year in Saskatchewan. So that cost them the game as well. This guy's cost them games directly. These guys from the States come up and they don't know all the rules. Fair enough, right? They're focused on what they need to do, and they do what they're told. So that's my answer. There's one guy. I don't blame Boris Beatty at all.
And of course, obviously, he gets fired. I mean, that's the thing. And when would the firing have happened? It was going to happen eventually. That's what I think. It wasn't if, or it wasn't when. It wasn't if, it was when, is what I'm trying to say here. And the thing is that Boris Beatty making that mistake he made, sort of in the smallest way possible, lets Chris Jones off the hook in the smallest way possible. But it's not enough. As you mentioned, it's not enough. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong with anything I'm saying here, and you said it yourself as well, but Chris Jones is known as a defensive guy. Every team he's been with in the CFL was defensive coordinator assistant, special teams, this guy, everything that he did, his title had defense in it, and he doesn't get the job done. And correct me if I'm wrong on this one as well, but I believe the offensive coordinator has been promoted to interim head coach. Is that right? That's what I think I read.
Yeah, Jarius Jackson, two old BC Lions coaching that team out of the gutter now.
So I mean that's the thing, and that was, again, I said it off the top. That was my only loss of the week that I gave out to clients. And the funny thing is of course it is. It's karma. You know, you bet on a winless team, you bet on a bad team. And I tweeted out, have to learn my lesson. If I ever like the Elks, I have to just bet the over, because the team actually scored points. And that's the problem, is that I'm a huge Trey Ford guy, Canadian. I like Trey Ford. And I saw John Hodge from 3 Down Nation tweet out every quarterback's record since Chris Jones took over, and Trey Ford had the best record over the last few years. It was for Elks quarterbacks. But let's not kid ourselves. Macbeth is not the problem. He's not why they lost yesterday. But having said all of that, people want picks. The opinions are fun. People want picks. It very well is possible that in the second part of the home and home, both teams that are labeled as underdogs could win. And then you've got that old adage where you bet on the team that fired their coach. In the NHL, it was like a 99% clip the first game after this past season. In the NFL, it's great to use it when it's a coach getting fired or a starting quarterback gets injured. But it's the Edmonton Elks. So if I listen to myself and what I've told myself on social media, I would be just betting the over here. But I really do think that Ottawa, even though some people think they played the better game, they relied on long shots. Versus if you look at the way, like the script and the game plan of Edmonton, they played more of like a realistic football style, ran the ball when they had to, short tosses, couple deep plays. It seemed like it was just what if Edmonton can clean up the second and long, they should be able to hang around. I'll throw it to you with this. I would like to be able to get a 2.5 or 3. And even though there's the coaching firing angle, I can't see people being desperate, running to the window on the road to bet Ottawa. So I don't think we're in a hurry, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to bet Edmonton. Would you agree with that? Or do you think somehow they could take some money?
Yeah, I don't think this is really going to move the needle for them, right? It's a short week. Like they play 5 days after. They play, in 3 days from now, right? So like any other league, if you're making these decisions, you'd be fired immediately. I was surprised actually that he was let go based on the fact that they're selling the team. They apparently had to clear it with the new buyer, the prospective buyer as well. Usually this would be an upgrade, you're right. But I don't know how much of an upgrade it is, because like in my opinion, I don't think I accounted for how little he knew the rules. Normally if a coach who makes these bad decisions gets fired, I upgrade, but not here. I didn't have a good enough read on it. That's on me. Hand up right here. I need to be better in figuring out what coaches know what in this league, and there's definitely a clear distinction between the ones who make the good decisions, the analytical decisions that a zit-faced kid would make for you for $50 a game. Get a high school kid as an intern over the summer. I think it'd be great for the league to have somebody like that. Let the head coach coach, and there's too many instances of them making the worst possible decision in these situations. So I still think Edmonton is the better team. I would like to wait for a 3. I think there might be a 3 somewhere where you can bet $30 or something, but I'm anticipating this line moving 2-3, and if it does, I'll be jumping on it as soon as I can.
Yeah, this week to me, like we were saying backstage, this week to me seems like one of those weeks where we wait to be reactionary. Instead of us being the people jumping on openers, this seems like one of those weeks to be a little bit more reactive to the moves that are made. You know, let the market do what it does. And it's the CFL, so it takes like $5 to move a line. So let it do what
maybe it's $10 now, but
yeah. So but I think that's what the case is here for this week. And what's funny is here we are in week 7. I find that every week is different for me. Some weeks I jump on a line, some weeks I jump off. Like with BC last week became a big play for me. One of my biggest plays of the week, all sports, and I bet that one on game day at -7. So it just depends really, but it seems to me like this one's going to be one of those ones. But I would lean towards Edmonton, and I'm going to throw this out there. I don't know if you'll laugh at me for this one, but I've always done this, and I think this year it might be like 1-1 or something. Or no, actually, it could be 0-2 because it was Saskatchewan and Hamilton. But either way, in years past, I used to just love going off the opposite of what happened in the first game. If we saw a difference in the total or the side, I used to love to just bet the opposite, challenge a team or two teams to go over in back-to-back games with the same total, challenge the same team to win back-to-back weeks against the same team. And typically what actually does seem to happen, and I don't have numbers to back this up, it seems like the away teams always win because of that, especially straight up or ATS, because you're going to get -3. The home team's going to be laying points. So anyway, that's my thoughts there. It looks like you and I are both interested in Edmonton. We just need to get the right number. Like, before we end this, I'll just say one more thing. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wow, okay, Edmonton has some time left. I'll be completely honest with you. I had some live bets as well. And I'm like, wow, this is an opportunity here. They could drive the field. Do I have faith in Macbeth to get the job done? And they get the job done. Then they're on third down. Triple coverage, Eugene Lewis, pass interference. Review it. Done deal. And then, like you mentioned, first and goal, second and goal. And I'm sitting there, are they seriously going to go 3 and out on the 1 yard line? And to your point, they mismanaged the clock. And then we all know what happens after that. I wish they had a regular kick. That's all I'm going to say. I wish they had a regular kick, played defense. Every single CFL media member, especially from TSN, was tweeting, we're off to overtime in the final game of week 6. And we never even got there. So
yeah, a regular kick would have likely ran the clock out, right? Or if there was any time left for them, they would have had one play. So if you're in that bad enough of a situation where you shouldn't have to kick the ball, but you are, at least kick it where somebody can catch it and run some seconds off the clock.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Winnipeg taking on Saskatchewan. Now seeing -2.5, total being 50. Money line close to -150 for the away team, the Bombers here. Did a show a couple hours ago with Jeff Dawson, who I do shows with twice a week, and we were saying, hey, if a team can lose a couple games in a row, they can certainly also win a couple games in a row. Shea Patterson, I lost betting against him in his first start, made some money betting against him in his second start. What are your thoughts on this number?
I think it's a pretty good number right now. This Saskatchewan D-line seems to be in a little bit better shape than it looked the last few weeks. Like, they were still pressuring VA more often than not. So the cluster injuries on that D-line didn't seem to affect them that much. That being said, that D-line was pretty effective. The rest of this defense, don't believe what everybody else is saying. It's not a good defense. They look good when Bo Levi Mitchell was thrown into triple coverage. Sometimes there wasn't even a receiver there. It was just green uniforms. They look good when Cam Dukes was throwing Plinkos off of people's helmets and skyrocketing up in the air, right? Yeah. VA torched these guys, right? They lost by 50, and the Lions kicked 7 field goals. They moved that ball easily against them. So this D isn't what people are saying it is. The D line is great, but you need somebody in the secondary. This is almost as bad as Hamilton's D, in my opinion, at least the secondary. So I think people should just kind of admit that they've won a few games. These Riders have won a few games that they shouldn't have. They're still a top 3 or 4 team once Trevor Harris comes back, but despite what the charts are showing you, Shea Patterson is not Tom Brady, even though he had a better record at Michigan in terms of passing yards or something. I don't know. So it's something that keeps floating out there on CFL on X. So I don't think these Riders are good, but I don't think that's. I'd like to have a few more points. At least if I'm taking the Riders, sorry. So, like, I think Winnipeg's a better team, but I think this line is kind of where it is. So I took Winnipeg when they were left hanging at a money line over the weekend. But right now, if this line gets getting any bigger, I'm probably going to be taking the Riders at a 4. I don't know if it'll get that high. It might just be stick with my original ticket in pocket and live bet the game, I guess.
This is going to be for people. I bet the CFL teasers. I bet they're going to be on Saskatchewan. It's going to be a bounce back. We're going to hear all week about how Saskatchewan got embarrassed, but the points that you made there about getting torched by VA, about I keep on saying it. My name brother Justin McGinnis having another good game. Hollins, those guys all playing really well. Butler. What happens when you play a team that can really stretch the field, and what happens when you play a quarterback? I love that you said not throwing the ball off people's helmets. How much different is it? And this is the thing that I always say. How much different? What's this line right now? If Trevor Harris is the quarterback, is it 2.5 for Saskatchewan? Is it 1.5? Is it -1? Because I think that, like we always say, we want to talk about lines that are here, but we both know that there was a different line a little while ago, the line you were talking about, and I still think this one, if I can get less than 3, and I don't always do this, but this one might be one of those ones, Bobby, where I just punch in the money line and just say Winnipeg's going to win the game. And I know long term it's not a successful way to do that. Play the point spread. You want the -110. I get it. But if I can get a better number right now, today, betting that, then that's good. There's going to be on game day, then that's what the so-called experts call value. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that Winnipeg's going to win. It could come down to a field goal or a little bit more than that. But to me, Saskatchewan started off the season undefeated, and good for them. I have their over 7.5 wins in pocket. But we talked about the pathway that they're about to go through and the games that they're about to go through. What was the schedule for them? It was what, Toronto, Winnipeg, BC. Is that what it was? Or Winnipeg, Montreal? Yeah,
they've got a lot of good teams coming up, and like you said, hey, like we both have them very high in our standings. My power rankings right now is Shea Patterson. I don't have them as a very good team.
Exactly.
And this 2, the 2 seems like an appealing number if you're getting the Bombers less than 3. But I grabbed the money line when it was closer to the 110, and the numbers are just going to tell me if I'm going to be taking Saskatchewan. This line's not going to come any lower. It's only going to get bigger throughout the week. There's no reason to. It's all media hype on Shea Patterson and this defense that's so good. When Cam Dukes is bowling the ball towards them.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying, right? So if I jump in on the money line right now at -148, and then it ends up being at like -160, 170, then I'm going to consider it value. We've got Tommy with us here. Shea Patterson with a beat-up O-line. What could go wrong? Yeah, exactly. Challenge him to have to leave the pocket and make a play, Bobby.
Yeah, and a lot of his good plays, like he had, what did he throw, 250 yards or something? But I don't know, like 200 of them were yards after the catch. Like they were screens, they were dink and dunks, and like I'm at the game, I'm looking at there, he tosses it to the right side, and there's nobody for the Lions even near the receivers. So those were kind of inflated numbers. Maybe that's what he did at Michigan to get those numbers so high too. But I still don't believe in this guy. Hey, he's a backup quarterback. He's a little bit better than I had him. I had him like as a top 30. Maybe he's a top 20.
Any thoughts on the other games? You got Argos, Ticats, numbers 4, 53 is a total. And then, of course, BC and Calgary. I'm excited to be going to that game. I haven't been to that many CFL games, not nearly as many as a Guinness World Record holder has been to, but like yourself. But I'm excited, and I honestly am tempted to take the home team. But You put your hand up earlier about something, and I got to put my hand up because I think that even from what I've seen so far early in the year, and maybe it matters more and more and more as you get into the season, but the bye week has really done absolutely nothing for teams. They've come out looking like the same teams that they went into the break being with, looking like. So I'm kind of confused why the look ahead at DK and at FanDuel were 4.5. Now it's 4. This is a team that gives up 30 plus points to high school teams. It seems like no matter who they're playing, at 30 points is the number. Bo Levi Mitchell could have a great game and still they'll lose 33-30. The obvious play is the over. I mean, it's just like which game is going to go under for Hamilton, because it seems like you have to be an absolute nutcase to take the under in a Hamilton game. So the obvious play is the over, but I kind of think we're going to get Hamilton's best. And if there's one thing you can say, I don't like all these handicapper sayings, but you got to think there's some type of flat spot this week for Toronto.
Yeah, I don't want to get too excited about a win over Montreal, even though they are the best team in the league, until we find out if Fajardo's coming back. They beat Caleb Evans. They played well, but they're still kind of like a middle of the road team here. I keep an eye on their D line. Jake Serezna, Arimolade might be coming back as well. So that's the D line that beat up BC and beat up a few teams in the first few weeks of the year. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be on Hamilton if this gets any bigger. How bad can it be? Like, you need to be buying low on these teams. It doesn't get lower than where they're at now, right? So you mentioned the teaser. There's a lot of good teaser legs here. These home 2-point dogs is maybe, like, I would say it's the best teaser leg you can wish for. And there's 3 of them right now. So if you want to include Ottawa, well, no, Ottawa's not that anymore. So if you got the Riders, you got Hamilton, you got the 2 worst passing defenses in the league, and you're hoping they can hold it within 8. That's kind of a degenerate ticket right there. You can't ask for anything worse in your hand, and usually those are the ones that are most satisfying when they end up covering.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd lean towards the home team. I would lean towards the home team. I think they'll get the job done, and again, I think that Cam Dukes showed us that he can be a one guy one week and one guy the other week, right?
For sure, he's a decent quarterback. He's probably the best backup quarterback in the league, but he's still susceptible as about half of the quarterbacks in the league are. So he's still hot and cold, but he's overperformed everybody else's expectations, I think.
And I'm seeing a 4.5 now for Calgary and BC. I talked about the potential flat spot that could be there for Toronto after upsetting Montreal. Well, how about BC just absolutely dominating in their matchup against Saskatchewan, putting the points up that they did. VA and his receivers, the chemistry they seem to have. But one thing that I've got written down everywhere in my house right now about Calgary is that win or lose, they go right until the end. They are backdoor covering machines. They will have your back with the backdoor cover as long as you keep faith in them. The question is 4.5 a number for a backdoor cover? That's the territory where you're pretty much asking them to hang around and potentially could win type of territory. That's when you start to ask, is that the right number? I'm not so sure, but again, I like these 4.5s. To me, there's a big difference between when the books lay out a 3.5 versus a 4.5. Calgary, to me, looked pretty impressive last week, even though Winnipeg's defense, I think, was due for some regression. I still think Calgary was able to move the chains pretty well. They made some big plays when they had to, and that was an absolute track meet. And I think you look at this matchup here. I like what Tommy's saying here. So technically, this isn't really a Wong teaser, as they say. This wouldn't really be a proper teaser leg necessarily. People don't like using the 10.5s. I don't think too much, but I agree. I like the 10.5s, especially in the CFL. If you can get a decent price on a 6-point teaser, this to me seems great, especially because it could go down to 4, and then you're not getting the hook. You're dealing with just 10. So what do you think? I kind of like the ugly dog here with Calgary after BC made me some cash over the weekend.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet, but if it gets any higher for Calgary, I think it's just too many points to be taken at home. I still think they're a pretty good team. I honestly don't know what their record is. I just know that they have overperformed expectations for this year. Every week they're in a game. If you're going to be teasing that to 10.5, I guess you can make a case for it. These guys can put up points, and Jake Mayer, whatever you want to say about him, he's better than Shea Patterson. So there's going to be 20, 25, maybe 30 points on BC. These guys are, the defense is still a little shaky. Their O-line is still a huge concern, I think. You saw how VA can get out of situations, but he was also rushed a lot. He was sacked a lot. So it could be something that could end up coming to bite them this time around. The only way I go here is going to be Calgary. But thankfully, as a season ticket holder of the Lions, I don't need to make that bet yet until it gets to 5.5. I'll probably take a chance there. These in between numbers of 3 to 7, they're more prevalent in the CFL than you would see in the NFL. 3 is always a key number in both leagues, but anything else, it kind of more the standard distribution. It's not as high. So these numbers in what you consider a dead zone in the NFL, it's not so much in the CFL. So 5.5, I'd like him around there. And hey, if the public goes after them, we might see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you big time, especially 5. Like you don't see a lot of games in the NFL land on 5 or 5.5 being a key. But if you can get 4.5 to 5.5, getting that hook is really nice to just avoid that. So yeah, in summary, guys, some good games. Not too much movement early on, which you'd think we would see some movement because there's really nothing going on. We got the MLB All-Star game tonight. We've got NBA Summer League. We've got WNBA action. People are betting on golf. We got all kinds of stuff, but we're still here trying to make some money in the CFL. And Bobby and I have really picked up past few weeks, people making some money. Hope you guys have been enjoying these videos. Just on YouTube right now, going to post on X later on or tomorrow. Had a problem with that, but we're going to get that going. And hit the thumbs up on YouTube. The thumbs up matters more than subscribing. And if you can, comment below what you guys are betting on. If you agree, if you disagree, let us know what you guys like. But any closing thoughts, Bobby, before we throw things away?
No, I'm running out of daylight here in Nova Scotia. The sun goes down so early. It's what, 3:49 Pacific right now. Yeah.
That reminds me when I had someone ask me that they didn't know that there was an East Coast and West Coast in Canada. There's the lesson right now. We're seeing it right now. That is very nice though. Cafe by the Bay. Little plug right behind you. What a perfect. We don't need to get any more backgrounds. You got your own background.
Yeah, I was looking for a place to have a nice background. There's the Giant Fiddle here in Sydney, but there's also this cafe where I had the Wi-Fi password myself, and the door was unlocked for me.
There we go. All right. Make sure you guys follow Bobby, Mr. Surrey Jack on X. I'm at McGinnis Picks. We're going to post stuff throughout the week. And again, make sure you guys be on the lookout for some of these line moves. And hopefully we can make some money once again this week, week 7 in the CFL. Take care. We'll see you next time. Best of luck.